Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Samudera Suwarno, and today I'm gonna give you my review about a film that I'm gonna review. That is Captain America: Civil War. Uh, Before we start, I'm gonna introduce a bit about Captain America: Civil War. Captain America: Civil War is an enjoyable but flawed follow-up to both Captain America: Winter Soldier and Avengers: Age of Ultron. It's it's not nearly as powerful or gripping as the Winter Soldier, but it is also does a much better job of juggling so many different characters than Avengers of Ultron did. The social function of orientation here is the critics' artworks, such as films, novels, songs, etc., for a public audience. And then next one is interpretation, or the synopsis of the artwork that I'm reviewing right now. That is the world leaders demand oversights over Earth's mightiest heroes after the events of Age of Ultron. In 1991, Sebastian Bucky Barnes was seen blowing up and killing the parents of Tony Stark, Iron Man, and the streak continues until he met Steve Rogers, aka his best friend Captain America. A few years have passed after the events of Avengers: Age of Ultron. International crime happened by the explosion that occurred in Sokovia, Berlin, and the EU that killed many casualties, including the king of Wakanda, T'Chaka, that happens to be T'Challa's father, aka Black Panther. The cause of the event was blamed to Bucky Barnes, and who was presumably there in the site. The Avengers were split into two sides: Captain America, who was against it about the crime charges against his best friend, and Tony Stark, who agreed to capture Bucky Barnes for saving him from some other dark corporation and Hydra. After some argument, the two sides eventually clashes in the size of an airport of Berlin, where it climaxes was in the northern Russia, where Tony learned that Bucky accidentally killed while he was brainwashed. His parents made him furious and announced the breakup of the Avengers. The language element that has been cited in this synopsis was the simple present tense, the compound sentence, the complex sentence, the complex compound sentence, and the active and passive verbs. Next is the evaluation state of the judgment. Now I'm going to explain some evaluation sums up about the movie Captain America: Civil War. There's been movies that have failed to reach the climax of superhero groups as a whole, such as Batman vs Superman, v Superman. But it's a different occasion when it comes to Captain America: Civil War. Even though it's not a fan favorite of the MCU movies, the story was amazing in the comics. And although it has a sloppy intro and slow progress to the movie head on, it steps it up in the next coming scenes and building the momentum slowly but pacefully and putting down the hammer with the Berlin airport scene. No one expected to be that peak of a scene, and the character's development was so slow yet sudden and explosive, like exploding a paintball into a pattern canvas, which is a really great thing in a movie franchise. I'm going to explain what's the meaning of the evaluation state, the judgment. It is expressing of comparing the two artworks that are being reviewed. It is compared with the plot, character development, and impact of the two artworks, and it was compared to the screenwriter's script with the original story from the comics. Next, we move on lastly to evaluation summaries. Comparing to the last two movies, Age of Ultron and Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War weren't on par as the two movies stated, but it has been the most unexpected movie that would erupt the MCU franchise by by the character's development, the plot story portrayed, and the conflict that was occurred in the movies. This shows and explains that the recommendation to see the film and the appreciation and the appraisal and the appreciation for the film, which is some that this film Captain America was unexpectedly very good and amazing. Knowing that the plot is quite sloppy in the intro, but that what makes it explosive yet so great on the plot line was the how the story was portrayed and the conflict that was occurring in the movies. So that's all the explanation of my review text about the movie Captain America Civil War. I hope everyone's having a good day. That's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.